Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Amphibian Press podcast. I'm Marissa Frosch, and today I'm talking to Dani Jorgensen. And we met in Nashville, Tennessee, at a seminar for book marketing. And she let me know that she was and I'm going to try that again.
Fair enough.
Stumbling. Goodness. I haven't done this in a while. Can you tell?
You sound good, though.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Amphibian Press podcast. Today I'm here with Dani Jorgensen, and we met in Nashville last month, and she mentioned that she was a novelist, so we're going to talk about her books today. She has a Western and then more historical fiction. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So, hi, Dani.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
So pretty cool how we met. I'm really excited to talk about your Western, but let's start with Queens of the Fallen. Is that the first one?
It's let me pull it out here. I brought visuals.
Yay!
Yay! So that's Queens of the Fallen. It's small. It's just a little prequel novella, just because I kind of wanted to give some people something that was a little shorter to see if they liked it, and I wanted to discount it a whole bunch so that it wasn't like there's a big novel that they may or may not like, you know. And then I kind of wanted to use it as a lead magnet as well for my email list. So if anyone goes to sign up for my email list, they can get it for free. So
nice.
Yeah.
And that's at your website?
Yeah. Yep. It's www.danijorgensen.com. Do you want me to spell it out? I can do that.
I'll put it in the show notes so they can click it.
Awesome. Thank you. So, yeah. You want me to talk about it a little bit?
Tell me what it's about.
Okay. So the prequel novella, it kind of follows a few of the characters that are in Pawns in the Fallen, but they're like little kids at that point. And so they're just kind of coming into the whole world where there's this emperor, right? And he's trying to expand his holdings and take over the world because that's just what he wants to do. And so this kind of follows the beginning of the war where it comes into the nation that I talk about the most, which is Aldabane. And it kind of talks about their struggles with how the war gets started in their country. And they're kind of just a peaceful people, so they don't really know about war and how to fight back and protect themselves. So they try to go get help from their sister nation. And so that's where we meet some of the characters from Pawns in the Fallen. So I kind of wanted to rope it all in together so that it was kind of like Easter egg type things so that people be like, get excited. They're like, oh, I know that character, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's just short and it just kind of follows a couple of the characters just to see how it got started. And then it kind of dives sort of into the first book, which is Pawns in the Fallen. And so, yeah.
So it's kind of a fantasy, like epic fantasy kind of a...
Kind of, like, that's one of the reviews that I got on there. It was like, oh, it's like a fantasy book, but it doesn't really have fantastical elements to it.
There's no weird creatures. It's just a different world.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's like the world that we live in, but not quite.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So where did you get the idea for Pawns of the Fallen?
Okay, so that actually kind of two places that kind of came together. So after my first NaNoWriMo in 2010, I was like exhausted and I was kind of burnt out on the book that I'd been writing before. And I was like, you know what, I just want to write something new. And so I just had this image of kind of this barren wasteland. It was just like white. And then there's like craggy mountains in the distance. And there's just like ash like all over the place. And I'm like, that sounds really cool. So I just started writing that image. And then I had a dream later on of like people in the desert, and they were running away from these soldiers. And as they were in this little depression type area, and there's like this broken down wagon because they can't go anywhere at this point because their wagon broke down. And then these soldiers just come and they surround them. And I'm like, oh no, what would happen, you know? I don't know, that's interesting to me. I love stories, and I was like, well, I should do something with all this. So I just kind of roped it all together and just started writing from there. So
Nice.
yeah.
So what is the storyline kind of for Pawns of the Fallen?
So it follows the character. Her name is Daliana, and she's a handmaiden to they call it the Protector. That's their nation's leader. And what happens is their country is about to fall to the emperor that we mentioned in Queens and the Fallen, and they don't know what to do, and they can't really fight back. So what the Protector does is she's like, well, I'm going to send you in my place, and then we're going to have kind of this last ditch effort to free ourselves from this warlord. And so they're just trying to buy time right now. So the handmaiden pretends to be the Protector, and she gets captured. And so they take her through the desert to go and meet the emperor. Well, at this point, the empire has been taken over by the emperor's son, and he's continuing the war, but it's kind of more to impress his dad, kind of, to kind of gain his love that way.
Yeah.
And so they meet, and he's kind of like excited to go see his holdings and all that. So he goes back to Aldabane, and then there's this whole rebellion that happens, and so he has to run for his life, and she gets mixed up in it, and then they end up in the desert again, and they're still running from the empire, and I don't know. I found it interesting. Like, the way that it's written is kind of, I guess it's kind of difficult for people to follow. I wanted it to sound kind of classical, like a Jane Austen novel, just because I feel like the way she writes brings you into that era.
Yeah.
So I thought if I wrote that way, maybe I could bring out the culture in this nation. So that's what I was kind of trying to do with the writing. I guess people don't really like it for that reason. I think, like, my husband won't read it because of that. But
You gotta find the right people.
yeah, but I felt like that's the way the book needed to be written. That's just the way that it is. And for her, she's never had to really deal with any adversity, really, because she has been just in the castle as a handmaiden. She just does what she's told all the time. They're just a peaceful people. So for her, it's kind of like, well, figuring out, like, who am I? You know, where do I fit in the world? What do I actually believe? Am I who I say I am? You know. So that's kind of what I wanted to show with all the adversity that she goes through, is how do people hold on to identity like that, you know? So yeah. But yeah, there's like gladiator fights in there too, and there's chases and lots of adventure stuff in there too. So
it sounds fun.
yeah. I liked it. I have fun writing it.
Got a couple people in mind who I think might enjoy it.
So
So do you have any more in that series planned?
I do. I have the second one written now, but it's kind of in the editing phase. And I have a really hard time going back and like editing things because I'm kind of like a little OCD, a little perfectionist like that. So I know I have so much work left to do. So yeah, I just need to go back and like edit through everything. And then I'm planning the third, but then I'm also thinking that I might do like a spin-off novel for one of my other characters, just so we can kind of see where because he's in Queens and the Fallen and Pawns and the Fallen. So I was thinking there's a gap there that maybe we could follow just to see how he got from point A to point B.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah,
that's what I'm planning.
That'd be cool.
I thought so.
So let's talk about Where Ash Falls, which is your Western.
Okay. Yes, I brought that one too. Ta-da! So I really liked that one too. I've always loved Westerns. Like I don't even know how many Louis L'Amour books. Like I just love Westerns. And I live in Utah, so like it's just deserty and there's red rocks everywhere, and it's gorgeous, but in a deserty way, you know? So, like I grew up riding horses and like going out in the mountains scouting for deer and shooting and stuff like that. So I like Westerns. I like the theme that goes along with it. And so with this book, I wanted to write a Western, and I was kind of going through an angry phase. so so a lot of the themes that happen is kind of my characters struggling with their anger as well, because there's a lot of things that happen and it's not fair, but
Right.
then they have to figure out how to go from there. And so this so what happens is this it kind of starts out in this little town called Stillwater,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the rancher. He's a big tough rancher. He owns and operates the town, and his name is Bull Bronson, and his little brother Jack. They run the town together, and they do really well. They're nice, they're fair, they care about the people that live there, And then I thought, well, what if there's these Confederate soldiers, these ex-Confederate soldiers that never really let the war go? And so like they kind of stay and they harass the lines in the South for a while, but they get pushed out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But they lost so much, and they're kind of after revenge, but they're kind of trying to fill that hole of everything that they've lost. And so they get pushed out of the South and they end up out west in Stillwater, and they're like, well, this would be a good place to gain a foothold, and then eventually we can expand and maybe we could start up a war again and get recompense or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So but if the town is it's already owned by the rancher, and so there's that big struggle of, well, who's going to own the town now, so it kind of follows that a little bit. And so like there's a few characters in there that it follows one of the Confederates, and his name is Cord Whitney, and he lost quite a bit. And so his struggle is, how do I come to terms with what I lost? And he feels like it's his fault. So it kind of follows him a little bit. And then it follows a character named Annie, and she's not from Stillwater, but she ends up there kind of by accident, just kind of caught up in the middle of this. And so she tries to fit in and help where she can, and still she has her own kind of dark past that she has to deal with in the meantime as well. It's still pretty fresh for her, so she has to learn how to deal with that and find her place in Stillwater. And then it kind of follows Bull and Jack a little bit, and there's a lot of violence that goes into this book as well, because anyway, it would be violent. They're soldiers versus the ranchers and stuff. But
Westerns.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the basic gist of that story. I loved writing it though. Like I had so much fun. I love writing, like just in general. But yeah, this one was really fun to write.
Yeah. How
So,
did you get into writing? We forgot to cover that.
oh, so I've always loved stories since I was like, I remember one of my first memories is I was 3 years old, and my mom had already tucked me in bed, and I snuck out of bed, and I was reading my book by the light that I could get from under the door from the hallway light. And I remember it was called The Littlest Angel, and I loved the artwork, and so I was just sitting there like just reading my book, and I just loved stories. And then like when I was in first grade, I wrote my first story, and I remember I was the only kid in class that was actually working on my story, and everyone else was just talking and playing, messing around, and I'm just sitting there just meticulously writing out this story. And I actually won a competition for that one. It was a young authors competition. I got to go to a regional conference for that with me and 6 other kids from my school, and so that was really cool. And I was like, I just want to write. That's just what I want to do. So that's kind of how I got into it. I just kept writing. I had spent like recess indoors on a computer writing, and I would like write through math classes and stuff like that. I would read in class too. Like I just love stories, and I wanted to share mine too. So I just felt like I had something to say.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wrote my first story in first grade also, so I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wrote an entire series.
Did you really?
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
I don't know if we were like, I know that the first one we were supposed to do, but I don't know if I was doing something I wasn't supposed to. Like, we were supposed to be doing something else, and I was working on a series. But I ended up with like 6 books
Nice.
about this little girl
That's
who
awesome.
ran away to live with animals in the forest.
That is so cool. I'd like to read that. Do you still have it?
I think my mom does, or she
Oh,
did.
that is
I don't
so
know
cool.
if it got ruined when we moved, but I should ask her.
That'd be really cool.
Because yeah, I remember I illustrated it too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was pretty excited, and I think it was second grade when a teacher was like, "Do you want to be an author when you grow up?" And I was like, "I can't be an author. I can't spell." And she was like,
Oh,
"You don't have to spell. That's what editors are for." And I was like, "This light bulb, light bulb
nice.
moment."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's actually this year I'm doing with my son's class. If the teachers will let me, I want the kids to each write a story, and I want to actually publish it into a book.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
they can
Okay.
each have a copy, and it'll be on Amazon, and I don't know, we'll do whatever with it. It was, I think Ray did it. He showed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to do that with the kids
That's awesome. That is so cool. Like,
because
I think,
someday I want someone on a podcast to be like, one of the other moms had us write stories, and we got to publish a book.
yeah, that would be so cool. And that's where it started for them. That would be so cool.
Right? Yeah. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
try it and see what the teachers think. But
I
um,
would have loved that when I was a kid. Like, that would have been so cool to me.
right?
Like, I'm published already.
I mean, I liked the little. We got to get like laminated copies of our books because I think I also did a fable book in that was I think second grade, and second or third grade we did fables, and like I did a story about like helping people or something. I don't remember. It was with tigers. I was really
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
um, but we got like a laminated copy of it, and it had just like the weird side binding thing. It's like a plastic thing, but I was so excited about that. So like just
Yeah,
if you had an actual book, like a physical book with your not your siblings, your classmates, I think that would be so cool.
that would be really awesome.
um so I meant to ask you, are you planning any more westerns?
Um, at the moment, no. That one was kind of Where Ash Falls was kind of just like a standalone. I
Hmm.
mean, I guess there could be more to the story that I just don't know yet, and maybe the story just needs to reveal itself to me. But for the moment, no. Like, I do have, oh gosh, I counted it the other day. I have like 25 ideas that I need to like get to work on to get going on. Like, you know how that is.
I counted mine a while ago, and I was like, I don't know why people worry about running out of ideas.
Right? Seriously.
If
Like,
I ever see the end of this, it'll be a miracle.
I know, like, I don't have enough to keep me occupied for like a lifetime. Like, and if I could write, I was planning this out. If I could write a
Oh, I think I lost you. No,
be exciting, but like,
I lost you right when you were saying if you could write a book. Hello? Come on, Zoom.
oh, my connection went bad. There you are.
I see you. Okay, I lost you
Okay.
right
Okay.
if you could write a book. How often?
Oh, so I was thinking like NaNoWriMo, how they do like a book a month. Like, you know, I was thinking that's a crazy amount of work, and like I'm always exhausted at the end of NaNoWriMo, so I don't know if I could do that or not. But I was thinking if I could do that, I could finish in like a little over 2 years, but then I'd still have like so many ideas left over that it would just be like crazy, you know?
Every time I start a project, I come up with at least 3 or 4 books, like whether they're actually connected or just in the same world.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I have 10 witch books. I have 8 werewolf books and at least 3 vampire books that I want to write, and they're all kind of in the same world.
That's really cool though.
And then I have the Starsborough Chronicles, which is what I work on mostly, and it's like a serial. So I have 6 of them now. I have another 6 for this season, and then I have 2 more seasons planned.
Oh.
So that's like 24, 32 other books I have to write just to finish the Starsborough Chronicles, and that's not including the short stories that I do as bonuses.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I mean, those I can write in about a week. I can't, like, it's not polished, obviously, but I can get the rough draft because they're about 17 to 20,000 words, so I can do that in about a week. But when I have time, like when the kids let me.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, since I had my 3rd kid, it's like there's no time for anything. So but my husband's been kind of like getting up with them in the morning, and then he brings me coffee, because if they see me, it's all over, but if they don't see me, then we can hide and get some writing done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah.
Oh, my allergies are killing me. Give me a second.
Sure.
I was coughing so bad this morning. It was, I had to take allergy stuff, and now my eyes are watering like crazy.
I hate allergies. I usually only get them when I'm pregnant. I'm allergic to being pregnant. So.
We just got home. Like, we were in Virginia before, and now we're in Utah. So I'm at my parents' house right now, and the allergies in this age is just, it's killing me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to read Where Ash Falls. Although now that we've talked about Queens of the Fallen, I kind of want to read that one too.
Yeah. That one had a twist that surprised me at the end. You know how books, like, they're going through them and you're just writing and you think you know what's going on, and then the book's like, well, what about this? And you're like, whoa, that could totally work. Like, I didn't see that coming.
Those are like,
I love those.
I almost don't like it when everything goes as planned, because it's like, where's the fun in that?
Yeah, then it's predictable.
Surprise me.
Yeah, exactly.
Be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to recommend those to my business partner, because I think she'll like those.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
Actually, let me make a note. There we go. Because I literally forget everything.
I do too.
So
I have to have like reminders on my phone and stuff.
Yeah, I have reminders about when to go to bed even, because I'll just get into something.
Oh, really? Yep, that happens.
So yeah, I have lots of reminders. All right, well, I think we covered everything. So where can everybody find you online? And I will put links in the description.
Okay.
So
I am at www.danijorgensen.com.
Any Facebook?
Oh yeah. Sorry. I have to remember now. It's Dani Jorgensen author on Facebook, and I just have like my little blog posts on there right now. I just barely started it just a couple weeks ago, so I'm trying to catch up on putting all my blog posts on there. So yeah, that's what's going on there. There's a lot more on my website, so more fun stuff there. So.
Okay, we'll send people there. I'll put the link to
awesome.
the Facebook, because then we can maybe help you grow a little bit.
Yeah, I do like author tips on my blog. I do like book reviews as well. So nice. Yeah, just fun stuff like that.
I wish I could get all authors to do book reviews, because they're like, I don't know what to blog about. And I'm like, just do book reviews. You're reading anyway, or you should be.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I actually had someone email me and they were like, hey, will you do a book review? Like, we've seen that you've done these other ones. Will you do this? And I was like, sure. Okay.
Nice.
So that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. That was awesome.
All right. So I'm just going to